Now that sums up how I feel. And you need time to mend for a while. Now bring flowers in my hand. And maybe one day we'll both understand why I brought flowers in my hand. See you soon. I was born in England, in Oxford, and I traveled the world. I was really lucky. I lived in England for a few years, I lived in Sri Lanka for a few years, I lived in Hong Kong for a few years, I lived in Italy for a little bit, I lived in Australia. I've been to a lot of the world. I wrote my first song on the piano when I was 10, and I still remember that. And I picked up a lot of things by ear. Like I could pick up a guitar and I could find a tune by ear. I could listen to music and find the tune on the piano. I got my true baptism in music when I came back to Sri Lanka. I think I was 17 years old. My cousin called me up on a Thursday night saying, Shivantha, there's a concert on Sunday with the Philharmonic Orchestra. And I played percussion with this 40-piece orchestra. And that was the first time I was baptized in fire. I was baptized in music. It was like a dance. It was like waves and everything flowing between each other. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like I got it. I just got it instinctively. And that's when I knew, I knew music was always in me. And then I moved to Australia and I think I was really lonely. I had left my girlfriend, I was 17, I'd come to a new country again, having to readjust constantly every time you go overseas and have to reinvent yourself. It's like hitting a refresh button and go, okay, let me let go of old values and build up new ones. And I had the guitar and it was this $50 piece of crap and I wrote my first song on it. And then I came to New York for 3 months. I just played the music circuit. I just played music wherever I could. I would play open mics every second night. That's all I did. I didn't do anything else. I would sleep on someone's couch and play music.
Don't cry for me, no, I bleed inside. Just say you want me and tell me that you're mine.
And I was starting to get into this groove. I was playing and people were like, oh, who is this guy?
Be strong.
So that's kind of the start, and then I went back to Australia. That was a hard time in my life, and I was back doing law. I started tracking my first album, Words from Not Long Ago, with a friend of mine who was at law school with me. That album for me was probably one of the hardest things I had to do because it was the transition from leaving the legal world and leaving the professional world and embarking on being an artist and going, this is who I am and this is what I do. I was trying to understand and balance my life and go for work and wear a suit and a tie and spend whatever money I earned on studio time and track all these songs. Ultimately, I played almost all the instruments on that album. All the acoustic guitars, electric guitars, the lead guitar, the backing vocals, the piano. I wrote all the string sections. I played some of the bass on it. If not for words, I wouldn't be here, musically speaking anyway.
So when I smile into your eyes, tell me you'll be brave. Though I kiss away your tears, I feel you slip away.
My first song that I'd recorded as a demo, called Fallen Into You, that was like the start of it.
'Cause I've fallen into you.
Which ultimately became the 5th most requested song in Sri Lanka, after Christina Aguilera at number 4 and Shivantha at number 5. I had that, and I had a second song called Dance With Me.
She doesn't know how to stay. She chokes on the feelings inside her.
And those are two songs that I knew had something. I would play them live and people gravitated towards it, and that was the basis really. And then I started writing as I went along in different parts of the world. And if you look in the actual album, when you open it, you can see where all the songs are written. I look at it now and I go, yeah, I'm proud of it, because it was a lot of work. But when I first finished it, I was almost disappointed and almost embarrassed by it, because in my mind, I always assumed it was going to be something different, something bigger, something more. And it wasn't. If I listen to it now, though, I can see who I was at the time, and that's really nice to see, because that's who I was as an artist and as a musician back then, and that's preserved.
Won't you come and dance with me? And I will bring you in from the rain. Won't you come and dance with me?
I think I had a decent body of songs. I'd been playing for a while in New York. I'd been working in my old studio with my old drummer, Joe Spinella. I started constructing a bunch of songs. Once I had By the Window, that was like, okay, I have something solid, something good, something new. And clarity came about after I had By the Window. Window was the pivotal key point where I knew, okay, I have something that I can work with. Now it's mid-2016 and I got to record this album. So then I busked. Busking is when you play in the subway. So I played in the subway for nearly 6 months. So the busking daily grind, you take 4 or 5 hours out of your day. You get on the subway, you find a train station, hopefully nobody else is using it. Hopefully, if somebody is, they're using on the other platform. You set up, you put your mic, you put your amp, or you put in your headphones with your metronome, and you just play, and you just try to earn as much money as you can. You try to play your song as honestly and as authentically as you can, and you realize why you're doing this. It's for practice, it's for exposure, and you make the most out of it, even though it's hot and it's sweaty, or it's cold, or it's miserable, or it's raining, or whatever it is. You just go on and you soldier on. And all I did was like 3-4 times a week, I would go and play for 3-4 hours. I would have my song list of like 20 songs, and I would just play and play and play and play till I knew these songs, till I could breathe them, eat them, sleep them. Sometimes someone came, he walked up to me and he looks me in the eye and he pulls out a penny and he looks at me and he goes, and walks off. And I was like, wow, wow. And then I've had a grown man standing there watching me, and he just started bawling and crying. I finished the song and he came up to me, he's like, yo, my brother, your song really touched me, man. My ex-wife has just taken my little girl away, and I listened to your song and it really moved me, and keep doing what you're doing. I gave him this big black guy, 6'3", I gave him this hug like that. So I said, yo, it's gonna be okay, man. One day your little girl's gonna know who her dad is, and don't worry about it. There are moments when you just feel really despondent because there's no one there. And you're like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Is this how it's supposed to be? Like, I play to an empty subway stop and I've got like $3 here and I've been here for 2 hours. I've had those days. I recommend it to anyone who wants to play music. Go and play on the streets. You learn about yourself and you learn about what you do. And then finally I was ready and I was like, yeah, okay, it's time. It's time to go into the studio.
and just kind of go up into that neighborhood.
Yeah, I
right
like
up in
them both, but it's
Yeah.
the second one brings it in gently.
Finds its own place. That's fine.
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I worked on a film project where one of the actors also wrote the theme music. His name's Walter Parks. So I went up to him and said, "Hey, Walter, listen, I'd like to take you out for a beer and have a chat." And he was like, "Okay." So we met 2 weeks later, and we met at some cafe in Union Square. And after like 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes of talking, he was like, "So maybe you want to tell me why you wanted to meet me, because I really don't want to waste anybody's time." And I was like, this guy's real, you know, he's a real dude. And I was like, "Walter, I want to record an album and I need some help." So he said, "Okay, send me your stuff. You know, I can't promise you anything because a lot of people ask me for help, but send me your stuff and I'll see what I can do." So I tracked 5 songs, and then I sent him these songs, and he said, "I think you got some potential." And then we kind of went from there. We booked like 4 days in the studio. I spent a few days at Walter just kind of breaking the songs apart, taking them, and Walter helped arrange some of the things and the pieces and agreed that he can do some lead guitar on it. And we kind of workshopped the songs. And he cut out a few things, he changed a few things, and then we went into the studio, we recorded it.
That was a good one.
That was great.
Yeah. I don't know if you got that, but that's, you know.
This guy's the real deal. He's played at Madison Square Garden. He's played with Richie Havens. He knows that guitar like it's just another piece of who he is. And I was just privileged to be in his company, a little nervous to be in his company, and excited to be in his company.
This might be an argument for you. You haven't had that before. But
Yeah.
and then out, you know.
All that my heart has to say.
To make it tumultuous with the band is the obvious choice.
Right.
Otherwise, you keep this believably you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Like there are moments in the recording session where I'm just like a little kid. I'm 12 and he hits a note or he hits the solo and I'm just like, "Oh my God, it's so awesome. How'd you do that?" You know? And then there are other moments when we're talking and we're discussing and we're figuring out, okay, should we have this part? Should we put a little bit of ambient on this track and kind of lift it in this direction and kind of craft it, like mold it, shape it. Shall we make a pass?
Yeah.
Sounds good. So, yeah, that's working with Walter Parks for me.
Wondering if you think I'm fooling myself. So dig in and wait. My mind's in New York, but my heart still escapes.
And I'm wondering a lot of things. Can I record this in time? Do I have enough money to cover the damn album? And is this going to accurately convey what I've been trying to say?
I'm checking the time, though you're 6 hours ahead. I wonder.
Are these songs going to hold up? Can I play them and get the best out of it? Can I convey what's going on in here accurately in real time on the album? Clarity is very organic because I played it live. A lot of traditional recording, you play each instrument separately. Like you start with the drums, then you put down, you know, the guitars or the bass, and then you finally put the vocals, and you see the musicians doing the vocal takes with just headphones and just them. And I was like, no, I want to create that intimate, honest setting of like I'm playing for you right here, and you can hear just me and some very light accompaniment. And I just played acoustic and I sang and did the backing vocals. And yeah, one day when we were tracking, man, I suddenly had so much pain in my stomach and I was just like, oh, I need to stop. I don't know what's wrong. And then Kyle just like, dude, you've been playing for 9 hours straight with like 20 minutes break for lunch. And I had no idea. I had no idea. My body was just like, okay, that's it. Yeah, some nice moments in there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, this is a longevity thing. It's just, okay, just keep going. Just push through, keep
Yeah,
going.
you gotta kind of pace yourself a bit.
Yeah.
There's
Because
a
when
lot
you're in
of
the studio, the monster's like, oh my God, you gotta get it right next recording. You gotta get it done now.
Well, that's the thing too.
You know?
Is like when you're doing it live,
Yeah.
you're doing it live in your studio. It's the same situation.
Right.
Plus the fact that you're like under the microscope.
Right, right. And you hear the little things like, and they're really not a big deal. Like just a little buzz, and it's part of the, you know, the organic nature of this particular session. Anyway,
it's part of the instrument. Too.
Yeah, it's getting better. I feel like each pass we're making, it's like, okay, it's closer to the ballpark.
Yeah.
And if I had to walk away with this, there are a few parts I redo, but it's for the most part it's good.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And just we keep going. Cool.
Cool. Nice.
All right. When I first started doing this, I had no reception on the ground when I'm playing, depending on the stop. And I walked out and I had a missed call from this number, and I just played the message, and it just said, "Hello. I just wanted to say you're an amazing performer. Don't ever stop playing and don't ever put down your guitar. You're amazing. Thank you." And I was like, is this for real? Like, this is New York, man. Like, who the fuck wants to do that? No name, nothing. So I called her back and I said, "Hi, my name is Shivantha. You left me a voice message." She's like, "Oh, yes. Thank you." Because these are the small things that keep me going. Because you can only validate yourself to a certain extent. And that's something that we have to work with every day. You have to find the inner strength to keep doing something that the whole world is telling you not to do. For me, like, to go out and play guitar in the subway when, you know, when people are like, "Oh, but you should be doing this, you should have done that." And you have to find inner strength. And when these little things come your way, those are the things you can sometimes go, okay, all right, I'm in the right direction. And so when I spoke to her, I said, "Listen, thank you. That's really, you know, I'm really humbled by that because it's something that means a lot to me at this point in this juncture in my life." For me, that was probably the most significant thing because it was at a point where, you know, you struggle with a lot of other things, and this was like a big outlet for me. And just to have this one lady who I had no connection to, who had clearly meant I touched somebody, and that was very humbling for me. And it just was like, okay, keep doing what you're doing. Just show up to work, man. Just show up to work. That's it. I hear that you're leaving. Wait, you've already gone. I wish I could change what I'm meant to be. Give you a brand new me. I look at my phone all the time and I'm waiting for a message or a sign. You've sorted your heart out and it's me that you still want, and you're still mine. I'll sit out on the porch, light a candle for the torch that you need. If you come back home to me, it's getting cold, so I'll keep your winter cold. You'll need it if you come back home to me, and I'll wait by the window, hoping you're thinking of me.
You consider yourself a New Yorker?
Oh.
And if you do, why?
New York is a love-hate relationship, like I think most of us do. She's my lover. She really is. Like, there are moments when I'm with her and I just want to be in her and I just don't want to let her go. And then there are moments when it's like, yo, back the fuck off. I can't deal with you, you know? And then it's kind of like, hey, can I come back? You know? That's kind of New York for me. But New York's also one of those cities that I think has, for me personally, and maybe my view will change, but I think there's a lifespan. I think at some point she'll be like, yo, listen, Shiv, we had a good love affair, man, and now it's time for you to leave. And time for you to move on. You can always come and visit. But New York, for me, I came here when I was 7 years old, and I'll never forget, I was in Times Square in my dad's friend's car. He had a little sunroof, and I remember sitting out in Times Square, looking at these buildings, going, wow. And she spoke to me. New York spoke to me. She said, hey, little buddy, you'll be back. You'll be back. And that's it, you know? And yeah, New York's New York. There's a magic and a madness to her that I think is unparalleled. You know? And it brings out, you know, and it's definitely made a man out of me, let's put it that way. You know, whatever I was before I came, I think we're always moving, morphing and changing, but New York really has made me who I am today in many ways. Yeah.
Now that sums up how I feel.
Is in it for the future?
The future for me? Ha! That's a good question. I think I have a lot more to give this world. I think we all have a light and a fire inside of us that needs to shine. It needs to burn. So whatever you do in life and whatever I do in my life, I want to put myself in a situation where I allow that fire to burn and to shine as greatly as it possibly can and illuminate the world and illuminate myself. And I mean that spiritually, I mean that musically, I mean that empathically, I mean that emotionally. And I want to put myself in a situation that allows my creativity to flourish as an actor and as a musician and as a human being. Wherever that is, whether it's here or somewhere else. You know. Even the word clarity, like for me, came about because I was finding clarity with myself. I've been struggling in New York for so many years, trying to make it as an actor, trying to just get a piece of paper to allow me to work as an actor, like constantly being shut down, constantly getting roles and then being told I can't do it. And then finally, the only thing I had left was my guitar and my voice. That metamorphosis came about through vision and clarity and breaking down what is really important to you in life. Who are you really? Once you take away all the struggle, the grind, the job, the clothes, the money or the lack of money, and when you take all of that away, what are you left with? And that particular moment of understanding who you are in life, that is clarity. And then going, what am I gonna do? If I died tomorrow, what do I wanna do before I die? And I knew I had to get this album out. I knew I had to push it out. And yeah, I can't wait to take it to the next level. I can't wait to push it out there and give it to people and be like, hey, have a listen, man. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, that's okay too. You know, here's a piece of me. Here's a piece of me. Yeah. Oh, man.